All righty, welcome back to Wisco Fanatics Wednesday. If you are interested, last night we did a Green Bay Packers show, which we do on every Tuesday evening. Those are at 8 o'clock on Tuesday nights. We recapped the Packers win over the Cardinals last night and then previewed their matchup with the Texans. So if you're a Packers fan, go check that out. Today, we are going to go through the Badgers win over Rutgers and preview their upcoming game against Northwestern. And then Jake and I are going to do part one of our Milwaukee Bucks primer, as we are now just a week away from Milwaukee Bucks regular season basketball, which is awesome. So that's what we're doing today, Badgers football and Bucks basketball.
Welcome to another live episode of the Wisco Fanatics Show, where we discuss the Packers, Bucks, Brewers, Badgers football, and basketball from an optimistic perspective. Wisco Fanatics is brought to you by Cardboard Legacy, Wisconsin's most complete sports card shop. Buy, sell, grade, and consign all at their location in Oshkosh.
All right, so as we get started today, we're going to go through a handful of the plays from the Badgers game against Rutgers. I think I have about 5 or 6 plays that we're going to talk about to get this started before we get into the breakdowns of it. But this is 2 plays together, actually, and it's Braden Locke making 2 really nice throws, back-to-back plays, actually. And the Badgers run some tempo in between these 2. So the first one is just a really nice throw from Braden Locke to, I don't even remember who this one was.
I think that was Pauling.
That was Pauling.
Yeah. So that's the first one. Second one, they run hurry up to the line to get set for this one. And Braden Locke throws an absolute dime to Vinny Anthony. Now, I want everybody who's watching or will watch to put a pin in this, because I'm going to talk more about what I think this means. And I'm going to talk more about Braden Locke in the passing game and Vinny Anthony in this game and going forward. So either of you guys, thoughts on these 2 throws from Braden Locke?
Mike, I'll give you the floor first, buddy.
I mean, they're great, right? Especially like this first play with Will Pauling. It's something that we've seen in this system for a while, even dating back to last year, like those quick slants. No, this is kind of like the bread and butter that we have seen. This is what Will Pauling's pretty much known for, playing that slot receiver role. So, Tanner was making them throws. I mean, Tyler made a few for sure to Pauling. This is just really just a bread and butter type deal, I think, for this Wisconsin offense in general. And, when you're a slot receiver looking at this as a recruit, and this is good, like you watch this route basically, and this is going to be one of your main ones in the Wisconsin system. And this is just one of those routes that, Will Pauling definitely has thrived on since his time here.
Yeah, so for me, as we get the pause here at the beginning of this play, right? So you see the guy come down, you see 2 men go back. So you have too high, right? So immediately, if you're Braden Locke, you know that you have an RPO. So you look at the box, you have 6 people in the box, you have 6 people blocking. You could run this ball if you wanted to. You're getting a hat on a hat. But Will Pauling sees the guy at the top of the screen right there the guy guarding Will Pauling. I apologize. The guy guarding Will Pauling is coming down for the play action fake because Tawee Walker's been absolutely filthy the last couple of weeks. And he just pulls it down and throws a dart. And this is the kind of stuff that run pass options just give you fits. And Braden Locke did a really nice job of holding that play fake, pulling the ball out, and throwing a strike. So you see the too high shell, you know it's going to be soft in the middle right there, and that's exactly where he hits him. So really nice job by Locke and by Pauling being ready for the ball. I don't think people give credit enough to the wide receiver on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely some credit to the wide receiver on this one. So, Jake, you can go first on this play. Give your thoughts on the deep ball to Vinny Anthony.
Yeah, so the route combo for me – so I like to watch a lot of weird stuff. I say route combo. I say too high shell. This is the kind of stuff that I'm watching. I watch something different every single play. Tyler and I have talked about this. So you have Vinny Anthony 1-on-1 over here, right? So you see a too high shell. The thing with the route combo is the next wide receiver down at the 40-yard line does a hook, which pulls the safety down, which creates the 1-on-1 situation. And then for me, Locke does a really nice job with ball placement on this. And Vinny Anthony, man, the credit you got to give to him is being able to pop the clutch and turn the afterburners on to go and track this ball down. That's just A+ stuff on both ends there.
For me, the other part of it is for him to hold on to this football as 21 is trying to smack the shit out of him.
Yeah, that's a tough catch.
It was great coverage too. I mean, Vinny Anthony's a track star. He's he's going to get by. And it's not just, because it was the Rutgers secondary, right? Like he would get by, I feel like, a lot of corners. He's got that track speed, that athleticism. It's good to do this, twice in the last, 3 weeks now with him and Braden Locke. They definitely got that juice and that mojo going here. So, in this up tempo, this was back-to-back plays. Kind of reminds me, like, sometimes, how, like, I know it doesn't really apply to like drawing guys off sides, but like Green Bay sometimes likes to get in that up tempo stuff, and taking those deep shots from time to time. It kind of reminds me of that a little bit, I would say. But no, I think without a doubt, Brandon Locke was going to go deep no matter what. Just watching this, he's like, oh yeah, Vinny, you just go sprint, and I'm gonna throw you the ball just like against USC, and you're gonna go and make a play. So, no, building that confidence now too. Vinny's a legit threat in this offense. I mean, that I think that's safe to say. Yeah. So, just in case the Badger fans this is their first game that they've watched this year, you got to let them know. But no, great play, great tempo.
How often do you see the Badgers snap the ball with 30 seconds on the play clock?
Yeah.
Haven't seen it enough, in my opinion.
Very interesting. All right, so I have a lot of defense from this game, but I have one more play on offense, and then we're going to go to a defensive play. So we're going to go back to Will Pauling, and we're going to go to Will Pauling's touchdown. Now, this is Braden Locke, this is Will Pauling, and this is Phil Longo, three cooks in the kitchen and making a beautiful play. So it's the pump fake and the selling of the fake route by Pauling, and this mama's the Mia. This play is beautiful.
Okay, first of all, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna go right away. The route, filthy. To give a spin move to get open, filth. The body control to relocate the football, filth. Will Pauling, NFL football player. I don't care what the stats say. This play right here, NFL offensive coordinators are looking at this like, yeah, that guy could play on Sunday.
Yep.
Secondly, we just had a guy before this game be like, yeah, we're not drawing anybody off sides with a clap. Case in point. Now, the last thing, and I'm going to be serious on this, the touch by Braden Locke. This is a tough throw all the way across the field. And again, not bad coverage. This is a tough throw, throwing it, over the guy, layering it over the defender right there, which really isn't that bad of coverage by the time the ball gets there. What a catch by Pauling, but what a throw by Braden Locke. I think, it was a good catch, but in my opinion, it was a better throw.
Yeah, dude, and the pump fake to get this dude in the air.
Yep.
As Pauling is selling his route, the timing of everything on this play is perfect.
Oh my God, what a throw!
Because if you're a defense too, and you watch enough Braden Locke film, if you're gonna jump while he's throwing, hey, there's a decent chance that I might be able to get my hand on it because he's a little down in size, right? So, presence of mind to do that pump fake and all that was great both times around. And doing another Packer reference, I mean, Pauling kind of looks like Romeo Dobbs, adjusting the ball like that, like on his touchdown, bro. I thought, no, that was great. Like when you see Braden Locke release the ball and it's about to come down, it's like, shit, I see 3 red jerseys over there and only one. But no, he put it in literally the perfect spot where literally no one else has a chance to get it, but Will Pauling. So that was masterclass.
Yeah, it was.
All right, so this is the first of 2 fourth down stops that we have, and this is just the Badgers D-line just getting after it. Now, Jake is going to cover the D-line when we get into our breakdown in just a second here. But I wanted to call attention to the fact that as Rutgers starts this play, they bring across an extra offensive lineman. So they already have their 5 linemen. They bring an extra offensive lineman and 2 tight ends into this play. And the Badgers have 6 men on the offensive line compared to Rutgers' 7 plus the ball carrier. So this is 6 against 8. On this play, essentially.
That you can't draw it up any better than that, dude.
That mama's the Mia also.
I gotta say, dude, Forqueen might have been player of the game for me early on, dude. He was freaking everywhere on defense, man. He was flying around.
Yeah, you're looking. Yeah, for me when I first saw this, I thought Elijah Hills had one hell of a great first step just to get in there. Then you saw Jaheim Thomas too get a little bit of pop. When I first saw this live action, Elijah Hills is the first guy that caught my eye for sure, taking up that hole. But you see seven come in a little bit too. If you want to play it, throw that in. So he gets like that last second jump. Yeah, gets past. I think that was the center
You
there.
can see 7 right there, right in the middle.
Yep. But
Yeah.
no, that was great.
Great play by the defense. All right, I have one more on the offensive side of the ball, two more. I lied. 2 more on the offensive side of the ball. First, we're going back to Phil Longo. Jake and I talked about the coaching a little bit this week, that we want to make sure that we get a little bit into our coverage, which we do with our Packer stuff as well. So we wanted to make sure we bake that in to our Badgers discussions as well. And this play goes credit to Phil Longo, because there's not a lot of plays where you're calling a quarterback draw for Braden Locke. A designed quarterback draw on 3rd and 7.
See, for me personally, this is just adding more layers onto the offense that we needed. I was calling for a dual threat quarterback a couple of weeks ago because it's something else that the defense has to worry about. When you get a quarterback that can run, you now have to have a spy, which takes a guy out of coverage, which allows more one-on-one opportunities. Which if you're mad or not confident in your playmaker's ability or wide receiver's ability to get open in zone coverage, or one-on-one situations, well, you got to put them in one-on-one situations to see if they can win. But this right here was just a good play call, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Mike, any thoughts?
No, it was great. Definitely in the presence of the moment, I guess you could say, because Braden Locke hardly ran. I think of this play. I go back to the Ohio State game last year where I think he converted. It was the same play call. It was like a 3rd and 13. Nobody was expecting Braden Locke to run at all, but he did the same thing. QB sneak, got a big first down, and that led to the Will Pauling touchdown ultimately against Ohio State. So that's what I go. That's exactly what I go back to watching this. But in the moment, shit. No one thinks that Braden Locke's going to run, right? So
No.
kudos to dialing up for Braden,
especially on a 3rd and long-ish. 3rd and 3 is one thing, but 3rd and 7 is another thing.
Yeah, 3rd and 7 is such a weird down and distance.
Yeah, that's a little more than medium. All right. So this is the last offensive play that I have, and it's my guy, Tretch Kekahuna, making a great hands-plucking catch. This is, at first I was like, damn, good throw, Braden Locke, and then I realized it was an okay throw, and it was Tretch Kekahuna plucking the ball out of the air that really made this play.
Yeah, I gave credit to Braden Locke on the first one to Will Pauling, where I think the throw was better than the catch. Not how I feel about this one. I feel like the catch definitely was the play. And then to spin off the next guy, it's like,
and create more yard and get more yards after the catch. That's
just ridiculous. This guy's ceiling is about as high as it gets in the wide receiver room.
I said at the beginning of the year, I believe he has superstar potential.
I don't know who else in this program could make that catch and literally go about what he did after that. Honestly, this is pure athleticism. This is 100% all Tretch, because this ball arguably should have been picked off. Honestly, if there's a good chance it could have been.
Yeah, for being serious, yeah. I like seeing the stands during this play too. That was interesting.
Yeah, a lot of people filing out on that one.
Yeah.
All right. The last play that I have, there's probably even more people filing out after this one, and I have to give a shout out to another one of my guys, Christian Allegro. Christian Allegro, this is the Rutgers. They have their backup quarterback in at this point, and they're going to try to give him a run option to hand the ball off or keep it. And Christian Allegro just meets him.
Yep. You don't happen to you can't turn the volume on that, can you? Because it was like a collision. That play, it was an absolute collision. If you go back and watch it live,
you can hear the crack.
Thump. Yeah.
You can hear the crack. Those are the best plays for me. When you hear when you hear the hit, it's almost like you're there. It's like, oh damn, bro, he really got hit.
You can see the way that Allegro is going into this play versus the way that the quarterback is being straight up, and Allegro is pushing down.
Lower. Yeah.
I don't think the quarterback expected somebody to be there, let alone 5 people to be there.
Right.
All right, you guys ready to get into the full breakdowns of this game?
Yes.
All right, we're going to start on the defensive side of the ball, like we are now. And we will go to Jake first to talk about the defensive line.
Yeah, so the defensive line had 0 sacks. The team had 0 sacks, so don't have to worry about that. The defensive line had 0 hits. The team had 1 total. And the defensive line had 6 of the 10 total hurries, 3 by Kirk Neal, 2 by Ben Barton, and 1 by Cade McDonald. I said it last week. I'm going to say it again. You saw it on that 4th down play. I think the defensive line is getting better at gap responsibility, understanding their job, stringing along the runs, the outside ones, allowing the linebackers to free flow. Mike's been on this show talking about Tackett Curtis a lot. He's a great athlete. Tyler started in our primer talking about Christian Allegro. That guy is becoming my favorite player. I'm so serious right now. The hair flow. He's wearing the half jersey. He's cracking people on fourth and shorts, dude. I mean, bro, it doesn't get better than that. That guy is a football player. But allowing us to have linebackers to flow. I can't remember the name. The kid from New Mexico. Who's the kid from New Mexico?
Oh, Mason Posa.
Yeah, so that's a big gift for us, by the way. If anybody pays attention to Badgers recruiting, if you're a linebacker and you see how this D-line is eating up blocks, you're going to like that because you're going to be like, yeah, I'm going to get the shine. They're going to show my face a lot. They're going to show my last name a lot as I'm making tackles. They're going to say my name all the time on TV. They're going to talk about me on the pregame because I'm the one getting the stats. As a defensive line, you're not going to get all the love, but you can still make the league doing the stuff that you're doing, staying gap responsible, doing your job. I think they're doing a tremendous job. And people that don't understand, and I don't want to sound like I'm smarter than everybody, but I've had so many conversations with Packers and Badgers about, the lack of sacks, the lack of pressures, the lack of hurries, all this stuff. You got to understand that there's just more to football than just the box score. We've talked about this with every sport, with baseball, with basketball, with football. We've talked about it with every team. The Badgers D-line is doing what they're coached to do. And they're allowing the linebackers, who we brought some recruits in, some transfers. I mean, we brought some recruits in as well, but we brought some big-time transfers in at linebacker and the defensive backfield. So to allow them to do their job and shine, that's what the D-line is supposed to do, right?
Yeah. And going into the linebackers, we just talked about Christian Allegro. He continues to make plays in the run game. He only played 24 snaps. I shouldn't say only. That's a decent amount of snaps. Played 24 snaps, but made 5 tackles and 2 run stops, one being that one that we just talked about on 4th and 1.
Yep.
Jaheim Thomas, we showed the other play, the other 4th down stop. He was in the literal middle of the play on that 4th down stop. Looking at a guy like Kyle Monungai, having him held to 19 carries for only 72 yards, a 3.8 yard per carry average, that's great work. Mm-hmm. Whole pregame is talking about how Rutgers' offense is predicated on Kyle Monungai, and the Badgers hold them under 4 yards a carry. They held Rutgers as a team under 5 yards a carry. They had 19 total run stops in this game. 12 of them came from the linebackers.
Love that.
So, and the last thing I'm going to say to this is people kept complaining about the opponent. Oh, it's just Rutgers. It's just Purdue. It's just Rutgers. Rutgers came into this game averaging 25.8 points a game. They were held to 7. And the just Purdue team that they played last week scored 49 points on the number 23 team, Illinois. So there's more of this. It's just whatever. You can only play the teams on your schedule, but it's still a college football team.
Yep.
So we're done with it's just, I hope they can do this against a good team. Obviously, you want to see them continue to do it against better teams, but there's no more it's just when it comes to beating a team 52-6 or 42-7. That's bullshit. You're outscoring teams 94-13 in the last 2 games. I don't give a shit. Like I said it last week, I don't care if they're playing the Alabama School for the Deaf and they're winning 42-7. I do not care.
I thought you were going to go savage and say like the Alabama School of dads and uncles, but it's cool. It's cool.
The dads and uncles don't deserve to catch strays like that.
Just the Alabama ones, dude.
I was going to say
there are teams that have records included in their like college records when they have played teams, like I said, like the Alabama School for the Deaf. That's why I use that as an example, because there's legit college teams that have that in their record books.
Oh yeah, that's true.
All right, Mike, what do you think on the secondary?
I mean, I'm gonna say this real quick. When do you think's like the last time the Badgers have scored over 40 points in back-to-back games, right? Because if we have, it's probably not even against conference opponents. It's
Probably
probably against some
pre-COVID.
FCS schools. So I'm just throwing that out there because we had such a hard time last season. You know, we had a little over 20 points per game, and now you just look at that improvement in general from year one to year two in the system, and you see back-to-back games like this when we're scoring over 40 points a game. Like, if you're a Badger fan, you really pay attention. Like, this should be, it's a big step in terms of where we want to go. Obviously, the scheme has been in question. Hell, I've questioned it myself. But I mean,
They didn't
I
score
just want to
40 at
say
all
I
last
think
year.
it's a step in the right direction. That's where I'm trying to get at the end of the day. So, no, I'll go into the secondary here before I get too off topic. But last week I told you guys, what did I tell you guys? Make them throw the ball. Make them throw the ball. What did our boy from Minnesota do? He threw that ball 32 times. He only completed 12 of those 32 passes.
Yikes.
Damn.
12 of 32.
Gross.
I can see why PJ got rid of his ass. Okay. So 12 of 32, 103 yards, 1 interception, QBR of 36.3.
Oh,
You gotta
Make
be
him
embarrassed if you lose
throw
to
the
Rutgers, bro.
ball. He should have had 2 interceptions. Unfortunately, Rico couldn't hang on to the ball in that first drive. I called the Rico interception. I was so crushed in that first possession. Right through his hands. I would have sounded like such an expert if he hangs on to that ball. But I'm still, yeah, man. And here I am just talking like a casual fan. But no, you couldn't really ask much more though from the secondary based off of that stat line. I mean, shit. The guy who had a day was Mr. Preston Zachman. This guy's quietly putting together a really, really good year.
Yeah, he is.
We all know who Hunter Wohler is, obviously, but Preston Zachman, man, 10 total 63 snaps, 10 total tackles, 1.5 tackles for loss, and 1 interception. Just absolute masterclass game on his end. I mean, the way it's going, honestly, he had a great game against USC. Purdue, he showed up a little bit. I mean, he keeps playing like this. You know, he's going to be arguing, maybe probably like third team All Big Ten, maybe, or at least honorable mention. He's putting together one hell of a year. Him and Hunter Wohler are going to be in the conversations when the time comes. So, no, props to Preston Zachman because I know. It was basically a position battle for that other safety spot. You got Kamoy Latu back there, Austin Brown. He got 40 snaps, but I know he was still, looking for that other safety starting job too. So just to overcome that in general in a stacked safety room, and now on top of that, you're putting together a great year. I think that's kudos to that secondary room because the secondary is our, I would say, strength in this defense. I still say that for overall the corners and the safeties in combination. So I think that's credit to the competition probably that's going on day in and day out in that room because there's a lot of talent there. So just to finish this up, Hunter Wohler had 3 total tackles, Austin Brown 4. And then the cornerbacks, I mean, Xavier Lucas, another call out. I called it out last week, but I mean, he got 38 of the snaps again. That's tied for second with last year. He's going to be playing a lot more football. That's my takeaway, especially after these last 2 weeks. I don't see the snap counts going down for him at this point anymore. I mean, Nizier got 38 snaps, Rico got 47, and then Delancey got 20, Lofi got 22. So, I mean, yeah, Xavier Lucas, I don't think there's going to be much of a fall off anymore from this point. I think he's proved that he can play with the big boys. So, you're going to see a lot more of him. And we got to see back-to-back weeks of Jace Arnold and Amari Snowden out there on the field. I thought that was pretty cool too. So, that should wrap it up.
Xavier Lucas is legit. He's legit.
Oh,
yeah. And I was going to say you mentioned his name, but I was actually kind of impressed with Max Lofi this week. I thought he played really well.
Yeah, no, it's a great room, man. I mean, there's not much to complain about at all in the secondary so far. There's a little bit of a tough spot there, but I mean, it's freaking Alabama, So, no, I mean, if
Brian
we have to
Williams
put
is
the game
insane.
on the secondary from time to time to make some plays, I'm comfortable at this point. And that's saying something in comparison to not having I say it all the time. Like in years past, our problem was we didn't have athletes on the outside. Now I think we're definitely striding towards that.
Yeah.
Xavier Lucas leading the charge. So
Yeah.
it's a room that I'm very, very excited for. And I think the Badgers fans should be excited for too.
I gotta say it. I think it every week when I watch the game. We're in 2024 and we have 2 white safeties. I gotta say it, dude. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Mike, to answer your question, I went and looked and found the last time the Badgers scored 40 in back-to-back games
2015
was October 23rd and November 14th of 2020.
Oh, wow.
There's a little gap in there from when their games were shut down to COVID. That was the last time they scored 40 in back-to-back games.
So was that that was in Illinois, was it? When we played, you said that was a COVID year?
Yep. Illinois and Michigan.
And Michigan. Yeah, that's right. I remember watching those games. Leo Chenal had a pick. Yep, I remember that.
So essentially 4 years ago was the last time they scored 40 back-to-back games.
Huh. Okay. I said 2015 because we were really good that year, right? Or was it 2017? I don't know. We were good for a long time.
2017, I think.
Yeah, 2017.
Yeah. All right. Jake, how did you feel about special teams?
Man. First of all, I got to say, we were talking about it in the chat. I love the idea of Hunter catching punts. Somebody you trust back there. He's smart. He's going to be smart with the ball. He's going to know when to call fair catch. He doesn't want to stay on the field. He's going to catch it and hand it over to Braden Locke in the offense. So I like it. Kick return. Cade had 1 for 19. Now, Mike's been talking about getting him on the field using his speed. And obviously, as a running back, he has pretty good vision. So I love the idea of using his speed and his vision as a kick returner. I think that's awesome. Easy way to get him going, get him the football. I feel the same way. We keep talking about Packers, but I feel the same way about having Bull Melton back there for kick returns. He's a guy who's really explosive. Easy way to get him touches, get him a feel for the ball, and use his explosiveness. I feel that way about Cade. Man, sucks for Vacos that he missed that field goal. It doesn't sting too bad in a 42-7 blowout, but he did go 6 for 6 from extra points. He isn't missing extra points, so I can't complain too much right now, honestly. Obviously, I would like him to make his field goal, but I'm not going to harp on it. It's already a miss. What's it going to do if I say, man, you suck because you missed the field goal? Like, that does no good. He already missed it, so hopefully he's working on it and he makes it next time. Then we get to Atticus, which sidebar, I didn't know there was so many people named Atticus, especially in college football.
Is there? I don't know. Is
Penn State, Alabama. I mean, they all have Atticus. I'm like, was that like name of the year or something like that? Like, what did I miss?
It was when To Kill a Mockingbird, naming your kids after To Kill a Mockingbird thing was really popular.
That makes sense. He had 5 for 216, 43-yard average. He had 2 inside the 20, so good job by him. I never have any complaints about him. Just wish he would punt less. That's all I got to say.
That's fair. How do you feel about the offensive line? Just keep it going.
Offensive line, again, had a really, really good week. Now, I was harping with my chest out, really proud that they didn't give up a sack in back-to-back weeks. They did give up a sack. Malman gave up a sack, but I gotta give credit to the defensive end for Rutgers. That was a hell of a move. He came off quick. His hands were powerful. He packed a really good punch on that move. I didn't write down his name, but the defensive end for Rutgers is going to get a sack against pretty much anybody coming out with that explosiveness and that power, in my opinion.
Jordan Thompson,
that's who it was. Hell of a move. He did give up a sack, so ended a 2-week streak without a sack. He also gave up 1 pressure, but to Malman's credit, you can take this however you want. He did have the highest PFF run grade in run blocking, so good job by him. Blocking good for the run. Can't really complain about the run blocking right now. They are opening up some massive holes, and Tawi Walker is absolutely crushing people. So offensive line is playing great. Defensive line is playing great. Special teams is doing good other than the one Vacos missed field goal. I like some of the changes at the returning. I was a happy camper in all 3 levels that I was watching this week.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. Mike, how'd you feel about the run game?
Oh, well, props to Jake's offensive line, first and foremost. The one play that just sticks out to me, they were running a trap. I think it was on like our 10-yard line for Ta, and we busted it out for like 50 yards. But I
Yep.
believe it was Joe Brunner, and I want to say the tackle was pulling as well, or was it the tight end? It was Joe Brunner, and I don't know, maybe it was Nowakowski
I
or
kind of
something.
think it was
Both,
Nowakowski. Yeah.
yeah, they both pulled, and they just made the most beautiful hole. Like it was I rewound that like 3 different times and watched it over. It was both of them dudes just absolutely walloped the guys in front of them, and Tawi just took off. So
Got to start teaching you how to
that was
make videos so
that
you
was
can show
probably my
posts and
favorite
that
play of
stuff.
the game. That was probably my favorite play of the game, if I'm going to be honest. In my view, just a classic Wisconsin run. It was great, masterclass for sure. But no, Tawi Walker again had another game, back-to-back games with back-to-back weeks with 3 touchdowns, 24 carries, 198 yards. Kudos once again to the offensive line. Tawi's now putting together a fantastic year.
Yep.
He came here from Oklahoma with the understanding that he was going to have more opportunities, and I would say he's definitely cashing in on this right now because he's definitely playing the part. So, and then the other big highlight, we did get to see Mr. Darion Dupree's first touchdown as a Badger. It was about a 2-3 yard carry, at 10 carries, 26 yards, and a touchdown. So, yeah, kudos to Darion Dupree's first touchdown. And then we got Cade Yakameli at 4 carries for 72 yards. You guys obviously know how I feel about that. And then Dylan Jones had 5 carries for 9 yards. So, but I mean, the running back room, I think, is as competitive as you could ask for, and I think it can only get better because, we see Tawi Walker putting together obviously great back-to-back weeks. We know who else is in there. I bet there's definitely a weekly competition in that room, and I guarantee you, guys like Darian Dupree and Yak are definitely fighting for that second, spot, especially. Tawi definitely has proved himself, but I think that second spot is definitely still up for grabs, arguably.
Yeah. And Fickle talking about going to the hot hand, I think it's going to continue to be fluid going forward.
Yep.
I agree.
Looking at the passing game, the second drive was really the only one where I felt like Braden Locke made a bad decision. He had a opportunity to take a check down, and he tried to hit a deep shot. Now, I'm not against him taking chances, obviously, and that's something I'm going to talk about when we get into some of our keys for the game against Northwestern. But that was really the only thing I really thought he made a bad decision on, and it ended up in an interception. So, like, those are the things where it's just like, all right, Braden, like, you see what we have here. This is why we have, the safety valve, the check down, whatever you want to call it. That's why we have those baked in so that you don't have to put yourself into positions where you're throwing balls into multiple coverage. Yeah. So, other than that, going into this, and we talked about this with the back-to-back throws that Braden Locke had on the throw to Will Pauling and the deep ball to Vinny Anthony, is the keeping up the tempo at the line of scrimmage, even if they take the time to then diagnose what the defense is lined up as. Mm-hmm. So, it's not necessarily even that they're snapping the ball on the 30 seconds on the play clock, because that is rare. But even if you're just getting up and being ready to snap the ball at the 30-second mark, and the defense has got to be like, oh shit, and ready, and then you're just taking that time to be like, okay, this is how they're lined up. You can kind of change, things to the line of scrimmage if need be. If you're Braden Locke, you can start thinking, okay, if we have an RPO on this play, looking at what you're seeing on the other side of it and being able to kind of think about what you're going to do and having time to do so without having to be, like with 5 seconds on the play clock. So getting up to the line of scrimmage is something that's beneficial, whether you're going to hurry up or not. Then,
yeah, I think the other thing that it does.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
You go ahead.
Okay, I was just gonna say the other thing that it does with the play clock is it hurts the defense when they're not allowed to sub. You have certain packages in there with certain players, so they can only run X amount of coverages. Like we saw with the 2 plays, they ran shell defense too high. Both those plays, maybe that was the package of players that they had in there. So hurrying up allowed the Badgers to have an advantage, by not allowing them to substitute. So that's another thing that it does, and it helps Braden Locke and the offense out that way as well.
Good call. And that's when they hit that huge play to Vinny Anthony. It was right after that hurry up and that snap on the 30 seconds on the clock yet. And that then in turn set up Darion Dupree's first touchdown, which was awesome to see for him. So looking at the distribution of it, something that I do with our Packers show is looking at it. Braden Locke targeted 10 different players. All 10 players had at least one reception. So spreading the love around. Tretch had 4 catches on 5 targets. Pauling had 4 catches on 6 targets, even though he didn't play the second half. Vinny Anthony had 2 catches for 81 yards, which led the team, thanks in part to that big play. Braden Locke needed just 20 completions on 28 passes to have 240 yards. That's a 71.4 completion percentage, and only really one bad decision, and then one drop. And then the last thing that I want to say on this, his average depth of target was 10.6 yards.
Wow.
Tyler Van Dyke was in the low 8s when he was starting, and I was like, okay, if we can just get him a little bit over 9, that puts him in the where Caleb Williams and J.J. McCarthy were last year. Braden Locke's average depth of target in this game, 10.6.
Love that.
Bravo.
Love that. All right, anything else you guys want to say on the Rutgers game? Again, we're not doing it's just Rutgers, it's just Purdue. The Badgers have outscored their opponent 94-13 in the last 2 weeks. Anything else you guys want to say on Rutgers?
Rutgers came in with a better record in this game. The Badgers hadn't won a road game until they won this game against the Rutgers. So we went in there and gave an old school ass whooping. Loved it.
How many times did I say last week that these are 2 really evenly matched teams?
No, they are, except the Rutgers were at home, so that's why they were favored.
Yeah, going into this, we were, like I said, it was going to come down to quarterback play at the end of the day. Similar teams, if you could say, for run first historically.
Mm-hmm.
So Braden Locke clearly, I mean, look at the stat line, right? Like Braden Locke had a game. We made Calicut Madness throw, and look what happens. They lose by 35 points. But, I mean, these guys they went to Virginia Tech and won. They beat Washington at home this year, which is not an easy thing to do either. So the fact that fans are thinking this is a complete pushover of a game, I think you're sorely mistaken.
Yeah,
and go and crawl back to your hole.
Yeah, it really was, like I said, a perfectly even matched game. All right, Mike, what are you looking for from the defense against Northwestern this Saturday?
I just looking at this, what Northwestern's been able to do this year as far as scoring and whatnot. They're on the bottom half of both rushing and passing. But, I mean, the quarterback has shown that he can put some games together. So we got Jack Lausch. Yeah, he's lower middle of the pack in passing. But, I mean, he did put a great game together against Indiana, who is 6-0. This year and having a hell of a season. It'd be interesting to see if we played them this year, how that would go. But he can sling it, man. I mean, he threw it for 250 and 2 touchdowns against Indiana at home, at that stadium that they call a stadium, but that's besides the point. I mean, this guy, he can run a little bit too. I'm going to talk about that as well, but I mean, he can also run a little bit. Last week, he had a rushing touchdown against Maryland for 13 yards as well. So it's kind of somewhat of a little bit of a dual threat, but I think the secondary is going to get opportunities once again. Back-to-back, well, maybe not back-to-back weeks, but similar to Purdue, this quarterback's going to throw a little bit. I expect our secondary to get opportunities to create turnovers. Hopefully we can get at least 2 picks off this guy. I know one's great, but why not get 2, right? But it's nothing that we haven't faced this year. I think we've been battle tested, whether that's with Alabama or USC's passing game, for example, and I mean, Northwestern's a great program, but I mean, as far as star power and the passing game goes, it's not even close to being equivalent to the likes of USC or Bama for that matter. So I fully expect our secondary to still get those opportunities, though, to create turnovers. But we also got to execute on that when we can't be dropping balls. So no, I do expect to be active back there.
So I want to throw this out there. Now I'm looking at it at the linebackers' perspective. Northwestern, they average just under 270 yards a game. And that is 129th out of 134 schools.
Yeah.
That's a big yikes. Now, of that 269 yards that they average on offense, only 102 yards of it is rushing. That's about 38.1% of their offense. So for me, looking at the linebackers, if the linebackers can just keep that being the case, then Mike Tressel can dedicate another defender to pass rush or to containing in the secondary. So that's what I'm looking for the linebackers. As far as the top tight end target that Northwestern has, if a linebacker is going to be covering a tight end, their top tight end has 106 receiving yards on 10 catches for the entire season. So not super worried about it, but he's not, useless either. So Jake, what are you looking for on the defensive line part?
Yeah, so you went over the rush yards per game, pass yards per game. They average 167, which is 117th in the country. They average 5.6 yards per pass, which is 127th in the country, and they average 3.5 yards per rush, which is 99th in the country. This offense is really fucking bad, bro.
Yikes.
They are, holy cow, they're atrocious. They don't even, at least Purdue has a guy you're just like, yeah, he's pretty good. He's just on a bad team.
Huckabee.
Yeah, he's a good player. He's a pretty good player. Yeah, he's just on a really shitty team. They don't have that at Northwestern. They literally are all just like bad. I'm not even trying to be like disrespectful. Like that's a bad offense.
Yeah.
The Badgers' opponents last couple of weeks went like, to like, oh my goodness, and then it's gonna go to number 4. Like I don't understand how you mentally prepare for that to go from Northwestern to
1 week at a time. That's how we're gonna do
it. One at a time, right? But the D line just got to continue doing what they're doing, eating up blocks. This actually might be a game where if we get a lead, if you have one of those pass rush moves up your sleeve, it might be time to unlock that son of a bitch, man, and go get the quarterback.
All right, Mike. All right, sorry, I'll go to Jake again first. What are you looking for special teams, Jake?
Special teams. So what I wrote down for special teams is you can be a weapon. You look at teams who have bad offenses or middle of the road offenses, they usually have really good defenses and good special teams. So with making the switches with Hunter Wohler catching punts, I know that there was an injury last week with Tyler Henry, but having Hunter Wohler back there, I really like that. You're getting a sure-handed guy. He's smart. I love that. And then having Cade back there for kick return, give him more opportunities, man. I think that he really could break one and get one to the 50 or the 40. I wrote, be a weapon. You could definitely be a weapon. If you win defense and special teams, you're winning 2/3, 66% of the game with those two things. If you can win defense and special teams, you give yourself a chance to win against anybody in the country. I don't care ranking, none of that. You win both of those, you're doing good. In terms of Vakos, man, go out there with confidence, man. Swing that leg, let it go through the upright. Don't overthink it. Once you get up here, you're done. So don't get up here. Go out there, kick the ball. You've done it a million times. You'll be all right, man.
All right, Mike, what are you looking for from the offense in the running game?
It's going to be interesting because we kind of just trashed Northwestern a little bit on the offensive side of the ball. But as far as the running game is concerned, I would call this their strength. Northwestern's run defense. They've given up 87.5 yards a game rushing. That's good for top 5 in the Big Ten. It's just something that to keep your eyes on. Led by linebacker Mac Uline. He had 13 total tackles last week against Maryland. That he put on a hell of a show. I believe he's got, 29 or 30 total tackles overall. He was also good for top 5 in the Big Ten. So that's just a guy that's going to probably cause some havoc at some point. So it's definitely gonna. I'm looking for more opportunities for kind of like what Jake said. But I am really a big advocate for him to get more opportunities. I really hope he does. Like I said before, I think him and Darian are just duking it out for that second spot. And I'm hoping that snap count goes from 6 from last week to maybe 10 to 12 this week, and just get him out in space and make him do something, because he's got the athleticism to do it for sure. Between those top 3 guys, he's got the biggest, average yards per carry. Granted, last week I do know that was kind of during garbage time, but even prior to that, he had the highest average, yards per carry. So he definitely can make plays. So I'm looking for more opportunities for him. Ride the hot ship, ride the ship with Tawi though too for RB1. He's put together back-to-back weeks too. Why not try and still run the football? I get it, Northwestern's doing pretty well in that space, but with run defense, but we're doing pretty well running the ball too. So I'm looking forward to the clash, so to speak, on that end.
So looking at the passing game, the Badgers only had 28 passes last week compared to 47 rush attempts.
Yep.
That's you're talking at 75 plays and basically a 66-34 run to pass ratio. So for me, looking at the passing game, as long as the running game is that dominant, which I'm not expecting it to be that dominant, as long as the passing game is able to keep the defense honest, that's all they have to do.
Yeah.
And that to me could be the biggest key for the Fickle Longo coaching staff compared to the previous staff, is that if opposing defenses can't put 7 or 8 guys in the box because they actually have to worry about the passing game. That was something that Braylon Allen was excited about when they made the coaching change, and apparently that's something that may not have gone the way that he was hoping it to be based on context. But looking at it this season, especially the last couple games, teams can't just load the box because Braden Locke is slinging the ball around. So that to me, giving the wide receivers some one-on-ones and being able to deliver on some of those big plays, that is what is helping the running game. And obviously vice versa, the running game having to have extra defenders dedicated to stopping the run, then gives the opportunity for the pass catchers. So it's a give and take, and both are working currently. So I just want to see that continue to have them feed off of each other. So Jake, what are you looking for from the offense?
Well, I'll say this: Braylon Allen's not going to face any stacked boxes in the NFL right now. Yeah. Holy cow, that offense is going to be crazy. Yeah. Also, wanted to point out Rutgers, Jesus. Northwestern is 2-2 at home, 3-3 overall. They're 1-2 in conference. The Badgers 1-1 on the road, 2-1 in conference, and 4-2 overall. They also have a 69.9% chance, according to the ESPN predictor, to win this game. So
nice.
Okay, nice, dude. The offensive line, they're doing such a great job over the last month, keeping the pocket clean, keeping Braden Locke standing up, keeping his jersey clean. They're also doing a really nice job just opening holes, allowing the running backs to be athletes, do their job, get yards before contact. That's a really big thing. You can go with rack or yak in the passing game and yards before contact in the running game. Those are the two biggest hidden yardage stats that people don't get to see when they look up the box score. You have to actually do a little bit of digging to find that kind of stuff. But they're doing a good job. I like the play calling. I like the balance. I think that's really, really helped the offensive line. And I just wanted to continue. The Badgers are riding a hot hand right now. The coaches are doing their thing. The Phil Longo is cooking right now. For all the people that were calling for him to be fired a couple weeks ago, we say this all the time. The praise should be as loud as the disrespect. And it absolutely needs to be right now for Phil Longo, who's been calling a great game. Again, Tyler and I are on the same wavelength with this, and I know Mike's going to join us on this as well. We don't give a shit who we're playing. You beat people consecutive weeks 94-13, you're kicking some ass.
Yeah.
And you could say
that's not an accident. That's not luck.
Yeah. You could say all you want that they should be doing that. They should be doing that. Well, guess what? They're doing it. So when they're doing it and you think they should be doing it, you should be praising them because that's what you think they should be doing.
I'll state it another way. To state it another way, the credit should equal the criticism.
Yeah. That's our job as a fan, is to give credit where it's due, right? So right now, credit is due to the coaching staff, due to Phil Longo, due to Fickle. When all the noise was coming down on them, especially after the second half at USC, they're a blown second half away from being 5-1 and probably ranked right now. Let's call it what it is. If they would have beat number 11 USC in USC and then had these consecutive blowouts after that, they're ranked
Illinois spot
100%.
Yeah.
So if they go and they dominate Northwestern, they're 5
in the conversation anyways.
They come back home for a night game. You want to talk about some fucking vibes? They win that game. Oh baby, I'm gonna start calling some people out. I'll tell you what, and they will be ranked if they win that game.
Absolutely. All right, let's get into some X factors here. Mike, who is your X factor against Northwestern?
It's not a player. It's a thing. I got the weather/environment as my X factor. For any Badger fans who are not familiar with the place that we're playing at this Saturday, it's a converted women's soccer / lacrosse field on the Lake Michigan shoreline, literally. So it's feet away from this football field that we're playing on. I was looking at the weather. I mean, and the reason why, yeah, I'll actually say it. So as of now, I looked up Chicago weather. As of now, it's supposed to be 69 degrees with 8
Nice.
mile an hour winds. But being on the lake, being a fishing guy, I'm a big fisherman family. That shit can change all the time on the lake. So why does this matter especially for a scheme like what with the air raid? If there's a bad like wind pattern, this could change up the scheme on a possession by possession basis all game.
Mhm.
So that's why I really wanted to bring this up, because this is literally like we have not dealt with anything like this before. Playing right off the goddamn lake. Northwestern is a house of horrors for the Badger football program in years past. Um, and it's just one of those places. I mean, even Barry Alvarez struggled to win at. So um, it's just one of those things that, but the weather / environment, there's not going to be more than 12,000 people there tops. That's another part of it too. Probably about 7,000 to 8,000 of it will be Northwestern / students or whatever. So, but either way, it's not like we're going to be, blindsided with like be it loud crowd noise or anything like that. It's just the weather and the environment in general. And hopefully we get fairly good conditions because, as Tyler mentions, but I'm probably going to mention the keys, this is going to be a great opportunity for Braden Locke, I think, to have a really good game. And hopefully the weather side of things cooperate with us.
Jake, who's your X factor?
So a couple weeks ago, I questioned the grit and the heart of this team. I was missing it. I didn't see it. I've been much happier the last 2 weeks, and I think it's because they're feeding off of somebody's physical play, and that's Tawi Walker. Tawi Walker, you have to give him the ball. He's had back-to-back 3 touchdown games, back-to-back big-time games. He's just running people over, stiff-arming people, lowering his shoulder and introducing them to the dirt. I mean, he's just absolutely feeding this offense energy that it needs. So I'm looking for him to provide the physical play that this team has loved the last couple of weeks.
So mine, and I've kind of hinted at this a couple times, mine is Vinny Anthony.
Ooh.
So he's showing big playability lately.
Uh-huh.
If he can keep doing so, Phil Longo will have another weapon on his hands to be able to keep defenses honest. And if Braden Locke can continue making those downfield throws well, that's really going to, I think, potentially unlock the Badgers' offense from being just RBU, which we know and love, and you can hear the announcers being like, "This is Wisconsin Badger football, running the ball down your throat. They're banging, they're playing in the trenches, and they're running the ball at you, and they know you can't stop them. Like, this is Badger football." Like, imagine that, but also being able to hit 40 or 50-yard passes in the same offense.
Do you guys understand how excited I am to one day talk to my grandchildren and be like, yeah, you're watching the Badgers. They throw the ball 60 times a game. When I was younger, we used to run the ball 60 times a game. I hope that's the case.
All right, Mike, what's your key?
I wrote down consistency, and I put Braden Locke right next to it. And I also put down health as well. And I say that Will Pauling, unfortunately, was hurt last week. Bryson Green was out last week. So the keys: can we get a healthy wide receiver room? Hopefully not too many guys are banged up. And can Braden Locke put it together again and just keep being consistent with making some big time throws? He's definitely played. He's played outstanding the last 2 weeks as well, to his own account. Whether that's deep throws or even making those quick slant throws like we were playing before in that clip with Will Pauling. So, yeah, I'm just looking for consistency. If we can put something close put something together close to what we've been replicating the last 2 weeks, and limiting the mistakes, there's no reason why we can't walk out of here with a win.
Yeah. Jake, what is your key to victory?
I'm very excited to say this. I feel like it's good. The last couple of weeks, something that's been a trend for the Badgers is building a big first half lead. Over the last couple of weeks, The Badgers have led in the first halves 35-6. That's big. That's massive. Indiana over in Big Ten play trails first halves 51-19. So I think building a big first half lead is key to this game. Let's get out. Let's start fast. Let's play physical. And let's end this game in the first 30.
I like that. For me, I went with another kind of one of those aspects. I went with the keep converting third downs.
Oh,
so
yeah.
they were 8 of 14 against Purdue, 7 of 14 against Rutgers. That's 53.6%. That would be fourth in the entire country if that was the case over the year.
Mm-hmm.
So Wisconsin is currently 38th at 44.1%, which isn't bad, but I would like to see if they can continue that trend of 50% or higher against Northwestern, who only allows 37%.
Okay.
So that's going to be the key for me, is to continue converting third downs. So, Mike, what is your score prediction from the head?
So from what I saw last time I checked, I believe the Badgers are favored by 7, and the over-under was 40.5, right around there. I do think
41.
we cover. I do think we defy the odds by a point and overall and hit the over. I got 27-14 Badgers.
Oh, that is very close to mine. Give me one more point from Northwestern and add it to the Badgers. I have 28-13.
Nice.
Ooh. All right. Well, continuing the trend with 13 points allowed for Northwestern, I have 30-13 Wisconsin.
Ooh. All right. I like that.
Nice.
Mike, what's your score prediction from the heart?
I got 4-10 at the end of the day. I think from the heart this week, I've been completely wrong, even from the heart, the last 2 weeks, and I need to start giving my team some props. Granted, I said we would win, but I mean, they're just 94-13. You can't, that's impressive as hell.
That's hard to predict on an average of 47 to 6.5.
Yeah, so I want to give my team some kudos. I know Northwestern, for some reason, it's Wisconsin's kryptonite for some reason, but I think Fickle's going to have these guys ready to go. We're on a tear right now. I think we get it done. I got 34-10.
I have 40-10.
Wow. We all have a trend of 10 points given up, and we all keep going up in points for the Badgers. I have 48-10.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, guys.
Damn. Yeah, you are.
All right, Mike, is there anything else you want to say on Wisconsin and Northwestern before we let you go?
I got to give a quick shout out to Mr. Bo Ryan, who's inducted into the Naismith Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Bo. You deserve it. It's been an honor growing up watching you coach. Some of the best memories of Wisconsin basketball have been with you at the helm. I was at Indy when we played Duke. Unfortunately, we didn't get that done. But 38-1 against Kentucky. I mean, that's literally a game that will forever be like in my brain. Even if I ever get Alzheimer's, I still think I'm going to remember that game specifically, no matter what. But no, I mean, countless Big Ten titles. I want to say he won the Big Ten tournament 4 times off the top of my head, if I'm not mistaken. And he has produced some NBA talent as well. Can't ask for much more from a Wisconsin program that was definitely, I mean, even prior to Dick Bennett, was not in a good state. So Bo Ryan definitely brought that program back from the dead. As soon as Dick Bennett, left the program. So kudos to Bo Ryan, and it's rightfully deserved.
Yeah, and we'll be planning our Badger basketball primer pretty quick here, so we'll be talking soon about that. So, Mike, thanks for hopping on with us, and go Badgers, and we will talk to you next week.
Sounds good. Later, fellas.
Take care, Mike.
Later, dude.
All right. So, I'm going to take Mike out. You ready for some Bucks basketball? Like, I know we had, summer league and then training camp started. I've had some preseason, but we are 1 week away from regular season Milwaukee Bucks basketball.
So, it's going to sound so weird. I'm excited to be excited about something else because my brain right now is just like football, right? And it's hard for me to be like football and basketball brain, it's okay to like both. But right now, I've been like watching so much football with Badgers and Packers, but I still love the Bucks. I've been watching the preseason games. I was watching Giannis sun some of the Bulls the other day, sun some of the Bulls. I almost tongue-tied myself. But yeah, I am so excited. Next week it starts, dude. It's gonna be awesome, dude. I feel big things from Dame. Feel big things from Giannis. Obviously, I love this quote that he is going all over the internet right now today. So I'm jacked up, dude. I'm ready.
So today, as far as part one of our Milwaukee Bucks primer, today we're going to talk about the additions and the departures like we normally do for every team when we start. We have a segment called What's Up, Doc? And that is going to be new things to watch now that Doc Rivers has had an entire offseason with the team. So I'm going to cover the offense. Jake's going to cover the defense on what we're going to expect to see differently, schematically, based on players and things of that nature. And then we're going to go through, we have 6 different situational lineups, and Jake and I are just going to go and we're going to give our guys that are 5 on the floor that we would put on in the situations that we devised. So we're going to start with the additions. Now, the main ones that I covered, I didn't go through all the Exhibit 10 guys and all the training camp deals, but just looking at it, A.J. Johnson and Tyler Smith in the draft. We talked about them after the draft. And then DeLon Wright, Taurean Prince, Gary Trent Jr., and then the two-way guys, Stanley Umude, Onziks Pasicniks, and the Exhibit 10, Liam Robbins, who sounds like he's probably going to end up with the Wisconsin Herd. So your thoughts on the additions, just in general, like we've talked about these guys when we talked about free agency and the draft and stuff, but just your general thoughts on the guys.
First of all, thank you for falling on the knife with that name. I was not looking forward to trying to pronounce that.
I learned how to pronounce it right after they signed him. I'm like, all right, I'll figure that out.
I was staring at this show. I'm like, ain't no way I'm saying that, bro. So again, I'm gonna sound redundant for a second. We did talk about AJ Johnson and Tyler Smith. If you go back and you watch the media day from the Bucks media day, Giannis and Dame, they all had thoughts on the rookies. They like AJ Johnson. They like Tyler Smith. AJ Johnson, dude, little road runner. Tyler Smith could definitely be a floor stretcher. Taurean Prince is going to be a really underrated addition. I think by midseason, when the Bucks are whooping some ass, there's going to be some breakdowns of the Bucks defense, and people are going to go back and look at the Taurean Prince signing. A guy that can play multiple positions. He's a pros pro. He hits 3-pointers. He is a good NBA player. He's a great addition to a team trying to get back to a championship level. Feel the same way about DeLon Wright, except he's a combo guard, been around the league for a long time, very instinctual player in my opinion when I watch him. And I'm excited for Taurean Prince and DeLon Wright. They're getting a little bit overshadowed by a guy that I've wanted for a long time. He was a little bit too expensive the last couple of years. But Gary Trent Jr., man, GTJs, I'm going to write down probably 1,000,000 times this year in my notebook. He's going to be phenomenal. He's going to be the guy wide open in the corner off the Dame and Giannis pick and rolls, and it's just going to be something to watch. Tyler, I'm not going to take any of your thunder. You're going to cover offense, but could be a big year for GTJ on that side of the ball.
I'm totally with that, and I strongly, strongly, strongly agree with your take on Taurean Prince being one of the most underrated additions to the team. I strongly, strongly agree with you. I've been saying similar things on the subject of Taurean Prince. Yep. He, to me, is essentially what the Bucks were hoping they were getting when they brought in Jay Crowder.
Yeah, 100%.
A 3-and-D guy who can play the small forward and potentially guard some bigger than him power forwards at times, and potentially guard some guards as well. So
and he can rebound.
Taurean Prince is a potential 1 through 4 guarder.
Yep, I agree with that.
So that, and he can make threes. So essentially a younger version of like I said, what they were hoping to get from Jay Crowder. Looking at all the additions in general, the Milwaukee Bucks went into this offseason and definitely got younger.
Oh, yeah.
Was my biggest takeaway. And as we go into the departures, we can just stay on that because they let go Jay Crowder, Patrick Beverley, and Danilo Gallinari. Those were 3 guys that they let go. And then obviously you bring in the free agents that they did. Taurean Prince is 30. Gary Trent Jr. is 25. DeLon Wright, I believe, is also 30. And then A.J. Johnson and Tyler Smith were 2 of the 15 youngest players in the draft.
Yep.
So the Bucks absolutely got younger. I'm going to come back to that point when we get into the What's Up, Doc part. But also, departure, Malik Beasley, went to the Pistons, I believe, and then Ty Washington went to the Suns, and Thanasis Adetokounmpo, who is still with the team, just not on the roster, which I appreciate. He's essentially being he's not a coach, but like a consultant kind
Like
of.
an advisor is kind
Yeah,
of.
something like that, because they obviously want to keep him around for Giannis, but there was, I think it
Dame. I heard he was also going to be there for Dame.
was it Dame? I wasn't sure if
Yeah.
it was Dame or Bobby Portis, but he was really close with somebody other than Giannis, where they were like, we want to keep him around for the way that he relates to these two guys.
I mean, it honestly, just having him around in general. I mean, we can name Dame and Giannis because those are two good players. Obviously, Giannis is the main one, right? But having him there for a guy like Bobby, he's been around Bobby, won a title with Bobby. They've been through a lot of shit together. Been there for Brooke, knows how to talk to these guys. I mean, literally just creating a role for Thanasis to be around the Bucks is a smart idea by Doc.
I would absolutely give him a polo and let him sit in the second row. Absolutely. No hesitation.
Doug, you just kick one of the fans out of the stadium. I don't even give a shit. I can't afford that seat anyway. So
Thanasis has a chair. He's got a chair. Brad said, "Don't sugarcoat it. He's a cheerleader." I mean, this year he's just like I said. He's going to wear a polo instead of a jersey.
I don't know. You show me some cheerleaders I know X's and O's like Thanasis Adetokounmpo, and then maybe I'll call him that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not, and that's what cheerleaders are. Like they're just for moral support. Like Thanasis is also. And I'll say this, he's an emotional leader too. Like that stuff matters.
Yeah.
So I'm down for keeping him around for things like that. Is there anything else you want to say on any of the other departures before we get into the What's Up, Doc?
No, I love the additions and departures by the Bucks this year. They did a phenomenal job flipping this roster, getting quicker on both ends, getting some shooting. Also, they did a really nice job.
Yeah, John Horst, he's good at his job.
Hey, Doc was out there. Doc was out there talking to people. He went and met with Gary Trent Jr. I'm going to talk about Greg Buckner in a little bit here.
Yeah.
He went out and got him too. I mean, Doc was doing his job, bro.
I mean, he talked with Darvin Ham too.
Yeah, he did.
Like obviously, John Horst and Ham had the familiarity because he was here 2 years ago. But
right.
So, yeah, that's a really fair thing to bring up. So now we are going to What's Up, Doc? Now we were trying to come up with something to call this segment on how we're going to think about the offense and the defense being different with a full off season of Doc Rivers at the helm. Now, do you want to go first on defense, or do you want me to go first on the offense?
I'm really interested to see. You know what? I'll go first. I'm really interested to see how you're going to cover offense because you were laying some stuff out a couple days ago, and I was like, oh shit. All right, so I'll go real quick. So on defense, I wrote down stats for points, field goals, three-point percentage, rebounds, offense and defense, assists given up, and turnovers. And then I wrote down their rank. I wrote a little tidbit here, and then I'm going to talk to you guys about what I read on some articles from Doc Rivers and about Greg Buckner, who is a new coach that was brought over basically just to be a defense coordinator. So defense, they gave up 116.4. That was 21st ranked in the league. 47% from the field. That's 14th. Three-point percentage, 35.6%. That was 9th. The three-point percentage is just literally separated by decimals. So, I mean, everybody's going to shoot, and people are going to make a lot of threes. That's what the league is now. Total rebounds, 44. That was 18th. Offensive rebounds, 10.3. That was tied for 9th. Defensive rebounds, 33.7. That was 22nd. They gave up an average of 26.5 assists per game, which was 13th. And they only forced 11.4 turnovers, which was the second fewest next to the Celtics, surprisingly enough. So then style of defense. Now, we all know that it was a very difficult year in Milwaukee talking about defense last year. They tried to play a couple different styles of defense. Now, obviously, the most popular one is the drop defense that they play with Brook Lopez. And I'm going to come back to that. I'm only going to leave that right there. I'm going to come back to that because Doc Rivers actually talked about Brook Lopez's ability to protect the rim, right? They tried blitzing screeners. They tried doubling on the strong side. They tried switching. They tried almost every style of defense. They tried to even add more zone defense into what they were running. They were trying everything. It wasn't for lack of effort why this team struggled on defense. I think it was just a tumultuous season I was really worried about saying that word. So kudos to me. It was just a tough year. Dame was going through some stuff. We fired our championship winning head coach to start the year, brought in a guy. It was the wrong choice. That happens in life. Why can't it happen in sports? Then they bring in Doc, kind of hitting the emergency button. And you're telling this guy to come save this season when Dame's not all the way in. Bobby's getting, getting ridiculed by the fans every other night. Brook Lopez is getting ridiculed by the fans every other night. Besides Dame going through all the stuff on the offseason, he's getting ridiculed because they're watching Drew Holiday and the Celtics walk all the way to the championship. So it was a tough year in Milwaukee, man. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We call ourselves realistic and optimistic. Now we get to the optimistic part, right? So they bring in a guy, Greg Buckner. So a little bit about Greg Buckner is he coached under J.B. Bickerstaff for a long time. J.B. Bickerstaff and Greg Buckner are best friends. And that is a direct quote from Doc Rivers.
Interesting.
He called them best friends. He coached under him in Memphis 2017, 2018, and then he followed J.B. Bickerstaff to Cleveland from 2020 to 2024. Now, we know how good Cleveland was on defense. Now, obviously, drafting some players and adapting some different styles, but Greg Buckner is a very, very detail-oriented person, also a direct quote from Doc Rivers. And Greg Buckner was also in Houston for player development from 2011 to 2016. So the things that I've heard about Greg Buckner that I read from multiple articles is he's detail-oriented, first one in, last one out mentality, and he's going to have guys in the right spot or you're going to fucking hear about it. I love all of that. And when I was reading, Doc Rivers wants to play, and he was giving credit to the Cavaliers for the style of defense that they played. But he said they had one rim protector. The Milwaukee Bucks have two rim protectors, Giannis and Brook. And he says he wants the Bucks to kind of play almost like an umbrella style. I came up with the word umbrella, but he wants to come up with like an umbrella style defense. He doesn't want Brook out there switching, covering guys in the corner. He wants the guards and the forwards to deal with that stuff. You guys all switch. We need to have a rim protector at all times near the rim so we don't be giving up free layups. And he mentioned, Doc mentioned that he tried to get Greg to go with him to Philly. And this was my favorite part of the article that I read. He said, I called JB to see if I could pry Greg from him to bring him to Philly with me. And JB had some very choice words for me. He loves his work ethic and his IQ on the defensive side of the ball. With Greg Buckner, he carved out a 10-year career in the NBA, being known as a defensive specialist with 5 different teams. So this guy lives and breathes defense. There was actually a preseason game, their first preseason game they played against the Pistons, and Doc was interviewed after that game. And he was, visually upset at a player for not calling out the right screen because DeLon Wright ended up on the wrong guy. Immediately after that, the whole first half of the practice was them just practicing that switch. That is the style and the grit and the heart that we're getting from a guy like Greg Buckner. So I'm so excited that we're having a guy that's being brought in as a DC who plays an aggressive style. He plays smart analytically. You can have both things, which is shocking to some people.
Wild.
Having the ability to have one of our shot blockers, because he talked about playing small ball, having the ability to have one of our shot blockers always near the rim is going to be awesome. But also, he did say that he wants Brook to be the guy down there. So having Giannis out on the perimeter more means more steal opportunities, means more fast break opportunities in my mind.
And you talked about the Bucks getting quicker on both ends of the floor, and I was thinking also on the in-between. The Bucks needed to be better in transition last year, and I think that's part of what prompted the A.J. Johnson pick.
Yeah, I agree.
So I love the idea of the umbrella. I think that's a really good way to explain it. Looking at offensively, new things to watch, as well as talking about A.J. Johnson, Doc Rivers had also, during training camp, brought in Rajon Rondo as a guest coach. He had actually been coaching with Kentucky the last 2 years, not like officially on the staff or anything, but while he was there finishing up his degree, he was like student manager coaching essentially with Kentucky. That's obviously where he went to college. So he was part of the Bucks guest training coaches as well. So interesting to see. Maybe Rajon Rondo will be part of the coaching staff in the future. I don't know. But new things to watch for on offense this year. Now, first, this is going to be for both sides of the ball, but it's going to be more about personnel. Doc Rivers and John Horst both talked about it on Media Day for the need of the young guys to get some minutes this year. This is something that fans have continued to cry about, like why the young guys aren't playing, why the young guys aren't playing, why the young guys aren't playing. Doc had 30 games to play with.
Yeah.
And I'll throw this out there. MarJon Beauchamp was injured for almost all of that time. So complaining about MarJon not getting minutes under Doc Rivers just doesn't make any sense.
Nope.
Now, on that subject, we just talked about in the additions and departures how the Bucks got younger, including Gary Trent, who is only 25 years old.
That's shocking.
So looking at it in the preseason so far, and I understand it's preseason, so this is taken with a large grain of salt, but A.J. Johnson has gotten a lot of minutes. So that might just be because DeLon Wright doesn't need a lot of preseason minutes, and he's still going to be the backup point guard to Damian Lillard. Or it could be that Doc Rivers and John Horst view A.J. Johnson as a backup point guard and just view DeLon Wright as a backup guard.
I could see that, actually.
So there's that. A.J. Johnson, he didn't shoot well against Chicago or Detroit. Nobody really outside of Bobby Portis did against the Pistons, but he was solid against the Lakers. And as far as other young guys, it's kind of a make or break year for MarJon. And then Ajax, AJ Green, and Tyler Smith have played some minutes in the preseason, and they're struggling a little bit, but obviously we have to be patient with the young guys. But it's consistent across all of the preseason games so far that A.J. Johnson is playing a lot of minutes. So I'm very, very interested to see a week from now when the games start mattering and they start counting towards the record, what that looks like. Now, one of the other things that's talked about, this is the transition part of this. Giannis talked a lot about during his media time about adapting to running transition without the ball in his hands. Because he knows that that's something that, and people talk about this, oh, Giannis and Dame didn't spend any time together in the offseason. How are they going to develop chemistry? You can learn a lot about how people view basketball by just talking about basketball with them.
You can do that with all sports, really.
That's fair. Like, even from my own personal experience, I can learn a lot about how people want to play the game just by talking to them about the game. And Giannis talked about this, obviously, last year plays a part in it, and talking with Dame and understanding how Dame plays, that Damian Lillard wants to have the ball in his hand and wants to be the one bringing the ball at the floor. So Giannis has talked about adapting to running the transition without the ball in his hands. And we saw there was, I don't remember exactly which game it was. We've seen him get some dunks out of it in transition. And I know there was one where Gary Trent hit him as he was going right up the middle of the floor. He took one dribble, 2 steps, and threw a dunk from the three-point line. That was all he needed. Brad asked the question, does MarJon look lost at times? He looks like a guy who's had 3 coaches in 3 years.
Yeah, he hasn't put it all together yet. You could see the potential and the reason why there is optimism to be excited about him. But yeah, he hasn't put it all together yet. I don't know if I'd phrase it as lost at times, but he definitely needs more in-game experience, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's just kind of right now one of those guys who's great at the G League level, like legit great at the G League level, but just at the NBA level just hasn't quite caught on yet. And part of that's playing time. Again, part of that is coaching. Like I said, he's been kind of jerked around a little bit since he's been in the league. But, I mean, we're talking about a 26th overall pick. It's not like those guys are constantly turning into stars.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens with MarJon this year. But again, looking at the way the Bucks got younger, letting some of those veterans go, there's playing time available for some young guys.
Agreed.
Okay. Last thing I have on the offense. This is a new thing that the Bucks are doing, and it's kind of somewhat reminiscent of how they ran offense under Budenholzer, where they ran the quadrants, but they're just running 5 out. They're running a 5 out offense, and it's preseason. It opened up the middle of the floor a lot for Damian Lillard. I've seen a lot of times where there's not a single foot within 3 or 4 feet of the paint, of the painted area. There's nobody within 3 or 4 feet of it while Damian Lillard is dribbling the ball. That is going to be a problem for opposing defenses against the Bucks.
Yep.
Because I don't think we talked about it enough. I know we talked about it a little bit, but I don't think we gave Damian Lillard enough credit for how actually pretty solid of a slasher he is.
Oh yeah, dude. He's an all-around guy. There's a reason he's top 75. It's not just because he shoots fadeaways and makes game winners.
Yeah. He can get to the rim, and he does it, and he gets fouled a lot, and then he goes and he makes his free throws at 90% clip.
And he makes a lot of those too.
So obviously, now picturing Giannis having that same look where you don't have guys in the paint while Giannis has the ball in his hands. You can see how that becomes a problem, right? Because you're potentially putting Giannis in a one-on-one situation of who's going to get to the rim first.
Yeah, this would be the part where we would play the clip of Giannis talking today where he says you can't guard him one-on-one, and he talked about a bunch of players, MJ, Jordan, Kobe, and he said that there's only been one player where you had to build a wall to stop him. Imagine him with one-on-ones for 48 minutes. Good fucking luck.
And then after that, as soon as Giannis gets 3 dunks in a row and a timeout is called, the Bucks are just going to start raining threes.
Yeah. Adding the shooting and
offensive game plan is really simple, but it's also going to be extremely hard to defend because you have to choose whether you let Giannis go one-on-one to the rim or you let Gary Trent Jr. and Chris Middleton and Bobby Portis and Damian Lillard and Pat Connaughton and AJ Green shoot wide open 3-pointers.
Yep.
Oh, and Brook Lopez and Taurean Prince. Like, that sucks trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
Also, with this 5-out, they've run a lot of ball screens with Brook Lopez, and not being able to have another defender to potentially step up should the double team go with the screener, whether it be Giannis or Brook or Bobby or whoever, or the ball handler, which it's been Damian Lillard primarily. I can see them running this with Chris too when he gets playing. But it's opened up a lot of threes for the screener. So I'm looking for Brook Lopez and Bobby Portis to get a lot of above the break open threes. And if any indication of what we've seen in the preseason so far, Bobby Portis looks a lot like championship season Bobby Portis when he was shooting like 47% on threes.
Yeah. And also I think that's Brook's favorite spot to shoot a 3 is the top of the break. So
yep, I agree. So some interesting things coming on offense.
Yep, for sure. Love it.
All right. So we have some situational rotations that we came up with. We came with shooting, rebounding, defense, small ball, the young guns, and the Dame time closers. Now, do you have one you want to do first, or you just want to go in that order?
Let's start with young guns.
All right. So let's go 1 through 5 at the point guard. AJ Johnson.
Yep.
At the 2, I put Marjan.
That's where I have him as well.
At the 3, I put Ajax.
Oh, I put Green there.
Okay. At the 4, I put Chris Livingston.
Oh, really?
I kind of like the idea of him playing like a young small ball 4 because he's 6'6", but he has like a 6'10" wingspan.
Yeah.
So I like the idea of him potentially playing some small 4 or some power forward.
That's where I put Ajax because he's kind of a point forward kind of feel.
Okay. And then at the 5, I put Tyler Smith.
Yep, that makes total sense because he got compared to Chris Bosh. So by Giannis.
Love that.
Giannis compared him to Chris Bosh, and I was like, "Yep, you're putting him at the 5."
Damn. Giannis is smart. Shit, I wish I would have thought of that. Damn it.
Right.
All right. Let's do the rebounding one next.
Yep.
So you can go first. Give me your 1, and we'll go back and forth again.
Okay, so rebounding, I put Dame at the 1 because he's actually a decent rebounder.
Yep.
I put K Mid at the 2.
I put Pat Connaughton at the 2.
Oh man, I'm mad I didn't put Pat Connaughton. That's a really good pick. I went with size. At my 3, I went Prince.
I put Chris at the 3.
Okay.
He averaged over 9 rebounds a game in the series against the Pacers.
Oh, I know. That's why I put him at the 2.
Wild.
I was like, I'm getting some size on here.
Put some goddamn respect on Chris Middleton.
And then I put Bobby at the 4, and I put Giannis at the 5.
I put Giannis at the 4 and Bobby at the 5.
Oh, okay. Well, either way.
So Same
Okay.
guys. Makes sense.
Okay, so you just had Pat Connaughton and I had Prince. Okay, I'm with it.
All right, you pick one.
Let's go defense. This should be good.
This should be interesting.
Yep.
So I took Damian Lillard off the floor for defense.
Yep.
I put DeLon right.
Yep. Same.
All right, I put Taurean Prince at the 2 for this one.
Ooh, I put GTJ out there.
Okay.
Okay.
I put Chris at the 3.
I put Prince at the 3.
Okay. I put Giannis at the 4.
Yeah.
And I have Brook Lopez.
Yeah. I like GTJ's quickness, being able to switch.
Okay.
Is why I put him over Chris. Like, no disrespect to Chris. I just wanted a little bit of quicker player.
So yeah, I went with the size.
Yeah, I see you. I see you. Okay.
All right. Let's do small ball.
I like small ball. Let's do it.
All right, who's your 1?
Dame.
Yep.
And then I put GTJ.
Yep, I got Gary Trent on mine as well.
And then these ones are kind of interchangeable, but I put K mid at the 3.
At the 3, I put Prince /Pat /AJ Green /Ajax.
Yeah, I put Green underneath him too, because I was like, yeah, you could put Green in there as well.
I really cheated on that by writing 4 different guys in there, but pick your guy.
And then I have Prince, and then I have Giannis at the 5.
See, I put Chris at the 4 and then Giannis at the 5.
Okay. Chris and Giannis at 4 and 5 is fucking disgusting. Imagine that ball, that pick and roll at 4 and 5, bro.
It's almost as disgusting as putting Chris Middleton at the 2.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, let's do shooters and then closers. So give me your shooting lineup, your point guard.
All right. So I have Dame.
Yep.
I have Gary Trent.
I put Gary Trent Jr. /AJ Green, but yes.
Then I have AJ Green at the 3.
Okay, I put Chris at the 3.
And then I have K mid at the 4.
I have Bobby at the 4.
And then I have Bobby at the 5.
And then I put Brook Lopez at the 5.
See, oh, dude, my lineup is small, but they can all freaking light you up, man. I went with, like, when I envisioned shooting, I was just like, we're going to, and you were talking about the 5 out, right? And I was like, dude, imagine getting up the floor with these quick little dudes. Like, K-Mid at the 4 is just unfair at the shooting. Like, putting him at the 4, he could race up the floor and get a wide open. He likes to pull those off the dribble ones. Dame is going to get so much space. Bobby's faster than a lot of centers, in my opinion. So I went kind of small on the shooting.
See, now I'm picturing this. Obviously, Dame bringing the ball up the court. You have Brook and Bobby at the breaks where the straight line turns into the curved line.
Yep.
And then you can put Gary Trent Jr. and Chris Middleton in the corners.
Yeah.
Bro. Imagine it's Giannis. Let's just say they put Giannis in a point guard for 5 minutes. And you have Giannis with Bobby and Brook flanking him with Gary Trent Jr. and Chris Middleton in the corners. Get the fuck out of here. You're not stopping that offense.
I dare you to build the wall. That's all I'm going to say.
Dude, you're not leaving Chris Middleton or Gary Trent Jr. open in the corners.
You
are going to get cooked in a hurry.
In my opinion, you're going to take a gamble and leave probably Brook Lopez open in that situation because the guy that is going to come off of Brook and try to switch over to the corner.
I'll say this. If you're going to do that, it gives you the option to have the ball go to Brook Lopez, who just pump fakes and then kicks to Gary Trent Jr. in the corner anyways, who's wide open.
Yeah, I agree.
Brad asked, what centers in the league would you have Giannis guard? That's a good question.
We've talked about this. Bam is the first one that better come to everybody's mind because he
was literally the first one to come to mind.
Yeah. Who else? There was so many of them. I mean, Jared Allen does an okay job, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah.
He's a pretty good defender.
In both sides, if you're looking at defensively, I think Nick Claxton is actually a really good defender, but I think Giannis could guard him also.
I agree. Nick Claxton, he's not exactly strong enough, but he's definitely got the length down.
Yep.
If we're talking just the East, are we talking the whole NBA?
He said in the league, so.
I mean, obviously Anthony Davis comes to mind. Anthony Davis can guard anybody when he's on the floor. Off the top of my head, I would love to have had this written down so we could just fire them off.
Yeah, I mean, who else? Who else would you have Giannis guard? I mean, a lot of the centers that I'm thinking of, like if you start West, like Ivica Zubats, I'd put Brook Lopez on him. Robert Williams, like you could maybe put Giannis on him, but you could still just easily put Brook on him.
Mm.
Brad said I think he could handle Joker. I think he could handle him too, but I'm perfectly fine with having Brook Lopez guarding Jokic because Jokic isn't going to blow past him with speed or anything like that, or blow him away with athleticism.
Dude, I'm gonna be honest with you. Oh my god, this bothers me so much. The whole discussion about Joker being the best player in the league really bothers me because he plays one end of the fucking floor.
Yeah,
It bothers me.
Yeah.
God damn, man. I mean, and it goes the same for Luka. You know, Luka doesn't really play defense either.
Yeah.
Like he's so good on. I mean, I'm not taking any of their offense away. Joker and Luka are amazing offensive players. They both have high, amazing Hall of Fame, platinum tier IQs over there. But on the defensive end, the effort and the athleticism really just
You have to hide them defensively.
Yeah. Can't really hide Joker.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be good.
I mean, other centers that I would have Giannis guard. That's kind of it.
Yeah.
That come to mind at least.
Yeah.
All right. Last situational rotation that we have the Dame time, the closers. Who is your one?
Well, it's called Dame time, so it's got to be Dame, right?
Yeah.
Wish I could have 5 Dames out there.
Yeah. Who's your 2?
I put Gary Trent.
Me too. 3.
This is going to surprise some people, but I put AJ Green.
Okay. Interesting. I put Chris at the 3.
I put Chris at the 4.
Okay. I put Giannis at the 4.
And then I put Giannis at the 5.
I put Brook Lopez at the 5.
I am in love with Giannis at the 5 and Chris Middleton at the 4. I think that just really, you put the damn idea in my head with the 5-out offense, dude. And I'm just like, can you imagine if the ball gets swinged to Chris Middleton and a screen comes from Giannis? And it's just like, oh, do we stop a 6'8" guy going to the rim, or do we stop the 6'11" guy who can dunk on our entire city with his eyes closed and a broken leg that he broke 2 weeks ago? Like, bro, you have so many hard choices. Oh, and the 6'8" guy can hit a mid-range with you jumping at him and wearing his shoes at the same time. It's unreal. That creates so many matchup problems.
Yep. And also, they've been playing together for 10 years, so they know what each other is thinking.
Yeah, they basically share a brain.
And the 6'8" guy is also a good passer.
Yep.
And can throw lobs to the 6'11" guy who can dunk from a ball that reaches the top of the backboard.
Yeah, and like, dude, even if he does pass it to Giannis and the defense kind of collapses on him, Giannis is a good decision maker too with the ball. So
yep.
You're still stemming from them running that pick and roll. If the defense collapses on Giannis after he catches the ball, them running that pick and roll is still causing problems because it forced the defense to collapse on Giannis, who's a good passer, good decision maker with the ball. He's really improved on that over the last couple of years. If you haven't noticed it, then you don't know ball. But giving Giannis the ball, having him pass it out for a guy to hit a 3, or even cutting to the rim like Pat Connaughton likes to stand in the dunker area, I mean, you can't go wrong. Either of our lineups will be great. This was a lot of fun coming up with lineups, man.
Yeah, it's definitely fun to picture, especially when we talk about the 5-out. And like I said, the imagining Giannis or Dame bringing the ball up the court with Brook and Bobby near him to potentially set screens and pick and pop, with Gary Trent Jr. and Chris Middleton in the corners, having their defenders having to be the last line of defense between Dame and the rim. That's insane. What do you do? What do you do? Like a legitimate question. Like, what do you do? Brad said you need a 3 to win, Portis or Lopez. Honestly, I'm saying Bobby Portis.
I'm saying Bobby Portis too.
Like I would trust Brook Lopez. Like if if we're in a scenario where Damian Lillard gets triple teamed and he's got to throw the ball to the first player that he sees, and it's Brook Lopez or Bobby Portis, like either one letting a wide open 3 fly, I'm fine with it. But I'm feeling pretty good about Bobby Portis.
I don't think that Brook Lopez is necessarily scared, but I also think that Bobby Portis wants the shot more than Brook Lopez wants the shot. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I feel like Lopez would be like comfortable, but Bobby Portis would be like, yeah, give me the ball.
Yeah, that's what I envision too.
That's totally fair. All right, Brad, thanks for the comments and the questions. Had some good questions in there. Next week, we're going to do part 2 of our Milwaukee Bucks primer. That's going to have our record predictions and our bold predictions, which is going to be fun. And that'll be just hours before the Bucks regular season kicks off. So definitely tune back in for that. We will also have the recap of Badgers against Northwestern. And like we mentioned before Mike signed off, we will be having our Badger primer getting planned pretty quick here. They're starting their training camp recently as well. So very different look to Badgers basketball this year, which is going to be a lot of fun. But tune in again next week. Also check out our show from last night when we covered the Packers, their win over the Cardinals, and their preview against the Texans. And then tune in with us on Tuesday to recap the Texans game. And we will be back for that next week. So Jake, I will see you next Tuesday and Wednesday.
See you there. Wear white to Lambeau.